Yes, it's true that more natural land needs to be preserved undisturbed so many of our native plant and animal species can continue to live here. But with Florida's population growing at a steady pace, unfortunately, some development is inevitable. Therefore, we must come up with creative ways to incorporate wildlife-friendly areas into our developments. Patricia Smith is the owner and principal ecologist for EnviroSmiths Ecological Consultants Florida and a full-time professor in environmental science at Valencia Community College. She teaches developers, students, and agencies how land development can be done in a manner that maintains ecosystems, promotes the use of native plants in landscaping, and creates buffers and corridors for wildlife. We caught up with her just after her speech at the Florida Native Plant Society annual conference in Orlando, where she spoke on ecosystem management, a balance between conservation and development.
When a developer is beginning a project, someone such as myself, I also do ecological consulting, goes in and we do kind of a mapping of habitats on the property. Do you have scrub, which may have a lot of endangered species? Do you have pine flatwoods? Do you have wetlands? And wetlands specifically are identified and flagged in the field for survey, for notation. And then we work with the developer to design a project that ideally doesn't impact sensitive areas, such as the scrub habitat or the wetlands, but also gets the developer the maximum yield for the amount of property and the investment that he has on the project. I think a lot of people forget that developers are business people too, and they don't do this for fun. This is a business. They have to make money. So somewhere in there, there's a number that says I must sell X amount of lots in order to make a profit to cover the costs of the project. Okay? And the idea is, where can we build into the project landscape areas that we can leave natural? We have wetlands with buffers. Can we create a corridor? We connect one wetland to the next. The wetlands are good in themselves, but the species in the wetlands sometimes need to go from one to the next, migration areas, things like that. And just leaving little isolated wetlands on their own eventually creates little pockets of where species are technically can't breed with other species. So it limits the diversity and ruins the genetic material on the project. So the idea is connect different habitats, leave open areas, and it also enhances the project. Because if you're buying a property, you have a lot you want to buy, do you want to look at trees or do you want to look at the back of someone else's house? Most people would prefer the trees. So by getting trees, leaving them in the area, you're enhancing the value of the property. The value of the lot goes up. The builder doesn't have to build as many lots. Makes the same money, and you get to maintain the wildlife.
The idea is to encourage developers to leave enough natural areas in their developments so native plant and animal species have a place to live and reproduce. Too often, all open areas are turned into turf grass, which is pretty much useless to wildlife and requires abundant amounts of water and care to keep it alive.
In Florida, water is very precious here. When we put in these grass yards or the landscaping that we typically use, they're high water, high maintenance. Leaving these native species or corridors or buffers or things like that, no water, no maintenance, no issues. That will also help in the long run, I think, looking at your water bill. So I sell it as, look at your water bill. You don't have to mow the yard. Is mowing fun? No, it's not, okay? If you think it's fun, come over to my house and mow my yard. But the point is, look at ways to make A, your life easier, B, have a more attractive environment, and C, save money, and D, help Florida in the long run.
Environmentally friendly developments include buffers, islands of existing native vegetation or trees left between homes and communities, augmented with native plant plantings. Created wetlands, water areas supplemented with native wetland plantings along their shoreline. Fedges, a hedge that acts as a fence. Native plant hedges between homes and neighborhoods that act as noise barriers. Corridors, areas of existing and planted native trees and vegetation between neighborhoods where species can migrate back and forth. Audubon golf courses, an Audubon cooperative sanctuary program utilizing naturally vegetated areas and native plantings on golf courses to become Audubon certified. and native landscape plantings, the use of Florida native plants and trees in home landscapes to support bird, butterfly, and wildlife populations.